Wondering what's for dinner? At Blue Apron, variety is always on the menu, featuring premium meals, options for a healthy lifestyle.
Hello, everyone. All right, so today I'm going to draw from. Well, let me back up a little bit. This morning I went for a walk and just enjoying the weather. It rained a little bit earlier this morning and kind of humid, very relaxing, overcast. And while I was walking or riding my bike and walking, um, I noticed some spots, just like abstract spots from the moisture on the asphalt sidewalk, parts of the concrete. And I took photographs of them because they kind of look kind of cool. They kind of remind me of people and things, and my imagination just saw different objects and shapes and these things. So I'm sure you guys have looked up into the sky and look at the clouds, and you notice just random cloud patterns or forms, and you start to see people or animals or different shapes and recognizable shapes and things. Just using your imagination, saying, "Oh, what if that could be this shape or that shape?" So I wanted to take that back into my studio and just demonstrate, like maybe have fun and try to start off with pencil drawings of these shapes and forms and adding details, maybe changing a few things to create a piece of artwork, a drawing, just to explore our like abilities to add details to these characters. And but as a starting point, this might be one way to help inspire you to create different things and shapes and forms and artwork, and I'm using it for myself as well. So I'm going to show you some pictures that I have that I took this morning. Let's see. Here's one picture right here. Okay, well, this one's not a like a water spot or anything. This is actually from like asphalt or something, just a blob of asphalt that's like splattered onto the another part of the sidewalk. So what do you guys see in this piece here? Um, do you see anything? Do you see any faces or animals or figures? Sometimes we can rotate the shape and we can see other things a little more clearly. I don't see a whole lot in this orientation. I see a profile, I see a figure, seated figure right here. I'm going to stick with this one right here. This one, I see a profile of a character looking up into the sky. Okay, so that's where I'll start. I'm going to try to get the basic shape of this form, just with like very angular. And I'm using a light pencil, just a 2B pencil. Now I'm going to go in and try to just get some of copy the contour, the little idiosyncrasies, the little. Here's the brow of the character. See that brow, the forehead, kind of a low forehead, and then really there's a little nose right there with a bump. And I'm going to make the nose a little more dramatic. There's the nose, and then kind of tilted high up, and here's the front of the mouth, overbite. Then underneath the lower jaw, weak lower jaw, you have like there we go. So now let's go back up here, and where should we put the eye here? Start off with a little triangle. There's the triangle. And in that triangle, I'm going to draw the lens. Here's the pupil. I'm going to put another upper eyelid onto this character, and then some bags underneath the eyes, a couple. Staying very light because I'm going to try to ink this in. Next, I'm going to put the nostril. So along this, I'm going to put it like a teardrop shape. Here's the teardrop shape, and then for the front, put some lines. On the side of the nostril, I'm going to draw down to describe the cheekbone. There we go. Now on the back here, the back of the head looks a little flat, so I'm gonna add some I'm gonna echo this line right here, just add some more mass or shape to the back of the head. There you go. I'm gonna add like a neck. Let's take a little break here and take a look at this. So far, so good. You see the connection between the outside contour, the outside line of this shape and form to the original blob. We're just adding our 2 cents, well, my 2 cents in the detail. So here's his cheekbone right here. Here's the side of his, draw out the shape. Here's the side of his head, kind of flat right here. There's the high point. There's like a bone right there underneath his, was it occipital bone, kind of bringing up the shape and form of his. Here it falls off, his shadow goes down. Let's make the light source here. So I'm going to put a little sun showing the direction of the light falling. Draw some rays of light from that light source. So here's a high point on the surface of the face. And then later on when we do some shadings and cross hatching, this will give me some direction to where to put the shadows. There's his jawline right there. Some neck muscles right there. So this is the shape, the little bit darker side of the figure, the head. This is the lighter side. So there'll be some light right here. His brow will be lit up lighter right here. Maybe a little bit of shadow here just to contrast with the eye so it stands out. The nose, this whole portion might be in shadow right here. This area will be in highlight. The lower lip's sticking out, so just a little bit, a sliver, a little piece on this will be lighter. Kind of gray shade area right here. It looks like hair up here. Let's keep that. Let's just add some shapes for the hair once like tied up at the top. Got the eyebrows, so let's put some eyebrows here, kind of like curious eyebrows, looking up in the sky like, what's that? Shadow area. This tip will be a little bit lighter. Okay, so next Let's see, what should we do? Okay, let me try some inking here. Okay, let's try some inking here. And where do we start with the inking? Where do we start with the inking? Let's see, let's try the eyes first. Let's start off by just inking in the basic lines that we do have. Here's the iris. I'm gonna make it almost like a flower-like shape. And you know, I don't have to make the line totally complete. I can make it kind of like a dashed line, like a broken line. It doesn't have to be one complete line. So you notice it's kind of staccato, kind of. They're not completely touching at times. But I'm just going over the existing pencil work that I did earlier. Let's trying to keep it not too straight, just kind of organic. This is a Pilot Precise V5. Not too expensive and very handy. I'm sure there's a lot of other great pencils out there, and pens. So many options out there. You can use gel pens. You can use microns. When you're starting out to draw, I would suggest just start off with the cheap stuff first. What's around you, and then once you feel more confident and oh, we forgot the ear. Oh my gosh, let me put an ear in here. My little ducky head ear here. There's the opening of the ear. There we go. Kind of human-like ear there. And then here's the jawline. There's muscles of the neck here. I'm gonna make his neck a little bit thinner. Put some dots and dashes to give me an idea of where to map out the shading later on. There you go. Let's see. What do you guys think so far? You know, we went from that blob to this, and so far I'm happy. Let's see here. We need to go back and let's do a little more detail now. Let's go secondary level of detail. Before I do that, let me just take a look at this, kind of examine the overall position of the head, the angle. Did I get all the basic anatomical shapes in there? I think so. Here's a philtrum. We'll make that really dramatic. Okay, so now I'm going to put the focus on this side of the face, which is the eye, maybe the nose and the mouth. I think just it captures the dramatic kind of expression on this character's face looking up in the sky. So let's start off, go back into the eye here. And I'm going to put in some small little circles, almost like a sunflower, little dots. Stippling. Did you guys do that in high school, art class, stippling? little dots. So the sphere of the eyeball, I want to create the idea that there's some roundness or shading. So I'm going to put a little bit darker hatch lines on the corner of the eye. And as it moves to the right, it's going to get lighter. There you go. I'm going to darken in the eyelid. Okay. By doing that, it really helps it doesn't get lost within all the details. So the eyelids I'm going to make a little bit darker, and a little crow's feet here. So here I'm going to go with these little hatch lines, and I'm going to go a little bit darker on the left. There you go. Same thing with the bags underneath the eye. I want to darken those in a little bit using hatch lines. So it goes from left dark to the right as it moves across, a little bit lighter. We want to keep this area light because remember that is where our highlight of our cheekbone is. So I'm just going to use that as a reference to create my little hatch lines around this shape and form. So to keep this, to promote this or make this exaggerated lighter, the perception, I need to make the area around it darker. So it's about contrast. So that rhythm of light to dark, dark to light, dark on the left side, lighter on the right side. Here's the eyebrow. There you go. Let's go back into the pupil. I want to make that darker because it's getting a little bit lost in there. So then you have the light of the sun. I'm going to make his pupil a little bit angled. There we go. The little spikes on the pupil. How's that look? Does that stand out a little bit more? Now, on this side of the head, let's wait on that. Let's go to the nose next. So this ridge of the nose will be a little bit lighter. Let's see there. I'll just put some lines in here, like just to shade that in darker. See that? You see the space between the lines kind of determines how light or dark it is. Here's the flare of the nostrils. It's a little bit lighter. It should be lighter because it's coming out towards us. I'm going to make the inside of the nostril, that little teardrop shape, a little bit darker. Put some lines in for this part of the upper lip. So I'm drawing down into the shadow, the crevice of the folds of his mouth. Its mouth. Okay. Let's take a break and take a look at this. I think the eye is looking good. The nose is okay. The mouth is fine. Maybe define the chin, this jawline a little bit more. And how do we do that? I'm going to some hatch lines along the jawline so it feels like it's curling under, it's receding. It also helps define the edge of the shape of the head. Let me go back in. I want to just darken in the outline of this shape a little bit more. Major lines that we want to stand out. Here's their lower lip. Contrast, we're going to put some shadow underneath. Remember, we made the neck a little bit skinnier, so here underneath the neck, there's a zone, this area here, blocked by the chin. It's going to create shadow, so I want to put some lines in there to indicate shadow. This is in a darker area. I haven't done a whole lot of cross hatching, which means going back in different directions. I'm just using a directional kind of, I'm going to make the whole ear just one level of gray by adding these hatch lines in here. And check this out. If I go back in and overlap that with another layer of the same hatch line, you notice it just gets darker. It just slowly gets darker. There's the opening for our ear right there. So by having like maybe at least 2 or 3 levels of gray, dark shadow, medium gray, and highlight gray, like a little bit lighter gray. We don't want to draw too much attention to that. It's there. The main focus again is the eye, and I'm going to work on the mouth a little bit more later. Let's move on up to the, one second, let me do the neck a little bit. Notice I'm going a little bit different direction. Add some variety. These hatch lines, short little lines. Darkening the outside of the hair here, the back of the head. Before I go further, this whole area, I'm going to make a little bit more, put some hatch lines in this whole area. And then I'm going to go back over it. I'm going to make from top left to bottom right, I'm going to make a little more lines. And as I move to the right, I'm going to lessen the lines. So I'm creating transition, a gradient, creates movement with the light. It makes the shape, even though it's abstract, a little bit more three-dimensional. I don't want to overdo it. I like that tension right here, the highlight against the lines on the left. Let's put a little bit more shadow underneath the ear, just kind of echo that shape. There you go. Very good. All right, let's move on to the hair. Now the hair, we're going to keep the same rhythm, and let me explain here. On this main shape here, this big shape here, I'm just going to create a series of lines. And this pen is getting dry, but it's creating some interesting textures. So there's my first level of gray hatch lines right there. Okay. Next, I'm going to go to the left of this main shape and just add another layer of darkness. And this means that the hair is kind of overlapping each other. They're kind of in a crevice. It's curling, very thick bunches of hair. I'm using the same direction of line. And on the other side, I'm going to add just a little bit of shadow. And this creates an outline of the where the hair should be, or whatever it is. There you go. So I have 3 areas of gray. I have dark, medium, and then dark again. I'm going to do that for the rest of these as well. I'm going to put in some lines, expressive lines, and then I'm going to go back in and add some defining shadows, just so that we can see it. If you make a mistake, it's no big deal. So if you ever take a walk and you see some, dried gum, darkened gum on the sidewalk, or some kind of interesting shape or form that we normally pass, you might want to stop, take some photographs of them, and take it back home and see if you can use your imagination to draw from what you see. Some people have a difficult time. they're just wired to say, hey, you know what, it has to look like something realistic. It has to be defined for me, and that's fine. Just as artists, using our being open-minded to different ideas and shapes and forms. Maybe. I hope you're enjoying the stream so far. I'm having fun. It's just really taking my time, and I have no plan on this. I'm just kind of winging it, going with the what the shape gave me. It's almost like drawing itself in a way. I think that really helped, the shape of the head. It adds some variety to the detail on the left to contrast with the eye, and the mouth isn't really that dramatic yet. So let's see. Let's continue on. Let's turn the paper. I'm going to turn the paper at an angle, and then that allows me to add a different angle to the crosshatch, like 90 degrees from what we've done so far. So it gives me ability to add a little bit more interesting textures. And so the nose is looking pretty good. I think the mouth needs help. What can we do to make the mouth stand out? So I don't want the teeth to be black. Okay, so how can we make let's just make the teeth a little bit bolder, darken those in. All right. Now this is considered cross-hatching here. I don't want to do it everywhere. I just want to do it a few places here and there. And this accentuates the shadows. Gives the viewer just more variety of textures, for the eye, just to kind of experience. If they're all the same marks, it's just very boring, and so this helps to keep interest in the piece. Sometimes you just have some random lines. You got to go with your personality as a drawer, as an artist. Be open to making mistakes, and just don't be afraid. Just give it a shot. See what happens. And if you like it, keep that technique. If you don't like it, get rid of it. I like these random marks here because it kind of reminds me the air around us has these tiny little particles, things floating in the air, which we don't see a lot of times, but sometimes when the light hits a dusty room or the air, it's like you see things floating around, little tiny little, whatever they are, little particles, dust particles. This by putting in these kind of marks in the background, this in the negative space around the figure, it adds another very subtle layer of texture. It's not so boring. Right now I'm just doing the face because I don't really want to add too much busyness of a kind of like an environment yet. Maybe later on. I just like the expression of this character, just like, huh? What's going on? What's that up in the sky? All right, so the sun is up here, or the light source. So here, underneath the nose, I need to make that a little bit darker. So I'm going to define underneath here. I just want to create it, go through and make sure that for the viewer shadows, there's shadow there. And there's another level of shadow here. I want to put that in there as well. And by doing that, it really helps the viewer's brain kind of comprehend the shadow. It gives it more of a three-dimensional feel to this piece. Even though it's an imaginary character, it can give it some life, some believability. There you go. I think we're almost done, I think. See, I'm using texture to define the shape. I'm using outline to define the shape. Let's from the temple, I'm going to just add a little bit more marks to indicate it's getting close to the hairline. Sometimes your hatch lines can be slightly curved. Sometimes you have to know when to slow down and stop and just finish the drawing, because you might go too far and just add too much detail and it just got away from your original plan. And remember what my original plan was really it's about the eye, the mouth, and the nose, and then everything else kind of complements, you're drawn to those things. So I want to leave the neck and the hair and the ear alone. I really want to just go back in and let's see here. Is there any other shadow areas I need to define here? I'm going to, just along the eye here, I'm going to put some shadow in here. And the reason that is because it's going to make the highlight in the eyes really stand out. I'm not going to, that reflection in the eye, really make it dramatic. And there's that piece of fat or muscle below the eye. I'll stop right there. Wow. I'm glad I did that. It's not perfect, but you know what? I'll take that. Might take this in the Photoshop later on if I want to clean it up, digitize it, or Procreate. So far, see the okay. Let's see. What should we do here? The philtrum. See that little on the your upper lip? You have that little dip. I'm going to exaggerate that. I'm going to make a exaggerate philtrum on this character just to tie in the nose and the mouth, so there's some kind of connection. This shape here, it's going to give it more of a three-dimensional quality. I'm going to make the corners a little bit darker and the center part a little bit lighter. There you go. I want to make this a little bit more contrasty. To make this highlight stand out, I need to go back in and add some more shadow around it. So if I want to hold loosely with the pen, I can grab it by the end, and if I want to do a little more tighter detail, I can get closer up on the, grip it closer up on the pen. What do you think? Did that help? You think? Okay, I'm getting to the point. I gotta be careful. It's you don't want to do too much. I think I've done enough here pretty soon. I might finish off with some stippling here. Let's give that a try. Let's see if that adds some, in combination with the hatch lines. And I'll just do it in certain areas, like for example the cheekbone. I think it might help. So it's a nice little subtle little accent. This could be freckles, could be some kind of interesting skin condition here. So like levels kind of draw you up to the eye. I think I'm done. I hope you enjoyed the stream here. So let me see. How do I finish up? How do I stop this stream? Let's see. Have a great day, and see you later. I gotta stop.